starting your own venture is something which a lot of youngsters currently dream about. People want to start their own journey, they want to start their own business, they want to create an impact in some or the other way. Ketto is a similar story. Ketto is one of the India's largest crowdfunding platforms. It allows individuals and NGOs to raise money for social and for personal causes. Over the last 8 years, the platform has raised more than 500 crores for more than 1.5 lakh campaigns and for more than 25 lakh donors. So today we have the co-founder and the CTO, the Chief Technical Officer of Ketto. We're going to understand his thought process. How did he and his team raise funding? What were the challenges he faced? And what were his learnings from running an organization for over 8 years? Keep in mind that these videos are recorded over Zoom, so the quality will not be the best. But I can guarantee you each of these videos will provide you ample amount of knowledge. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to watch more of similar content and do like the video if you find it useful. So without further ado, let's welcome Zaheer Adenwala. So Zaheer, thank you for taking out your time and being a part of this video. I really appreciate it.
Hey man, thanks a lot. Just trying to do my bit.
If you could take the audience through what Keto is and what's the business model of Keto.
So Ketto basically stands for Key to Tomorrow. The plan was to build a platform that could help non-profits in India at that point of time. So this is back in 2012. Uh, there was hardly any funds that are raised in the social sector that was done digitally. All the fundraising was done offline via either telecalling or door-to-door sales. And both those models inherently are very, very cost heavy because it involves a lot of manpower. So at that point of time, when we were looking out west, we realized that there were a bunch of platforms that had already started coming up, which was completely moving this whole fundraising model online. Uh, and that's what was our inspiration. And we thought, India as a market really needs something. Our NGOs deserve something like this. And crowdfunding as a concept, it's an age-old concept. It has existed for centuries, to be honest. It's just that we've taken it online. It's as simple as pooling in small sums of money from a large number of people to make a very big impact. So just to give you an example, if all of India donated 1 rupee every month, we would be able to raise 1.3 billion rupees every month. So that is the kind of impact that it can create, and I'm sure everyone can afford 1 rupee a month. So it's so the whole theory roams around make no matter how small the contribution, in the bigger scheme of thing, it has a very large impact, and that is what makes people come again and again on our platform, because you can give as little as 100 rupees, or you can give, there is no ceiling, right? You can give as much as your pocket enables you to. So people are coming forward and giving small sums of money, and but still being able to see the impact that their money is creating.
How was your shift from a corporate employee to an entrepreneur? What were the initial challenges faced?
It was a scary one, and especially a little more so for me, because I was going to ask my father-in-law to let him allow me to marry his daughter while we were making this move. So I was working as a product manager for close to 5 years before we took this plunge and in this journey. And my final job was with this company called Media.net, uh, which I think about 4 years back got sold for about $900 million. So it's one of the greatest success stories in India. So I had a very lucrative job, had a very lucrative career, and had a great conventional growth path in front of me. So to initially jump ship was not that easy, but I have to say that I got a lot of support from my parents, and also my to be wife. Where at that point of time, we were 28. I was 28 then, and it was the thought process was, if not now, then when, because as time progresses in life, your baggage increases, and it's more difficult to let go of a steady flow of income and take a risk in life. So at that point of time, it was definitely a risky move. I dropped out of my MBA to get started with Keto as well. um, there were apprehensions, definitely, But at the same time, there was also a lot of confidence, and there was that spark. There was that desire that why not do something like this for yourself? Because what is the worst case scenario, right? I'll spend 2 years of my life, and I personally believe in failures more than successes, because I think you learn so much more out of failures than you learn out of successes. So what was the worst case scenario would have been to fail for a few years and learn things from there, and then again move on in life. So with the support of course, the near and dear ones, it was a decision that we took at that point of time, and hopefully that decision will pay fruits, or will probably prove to be the right decision in time.
In terms of funding, how did you create a business plan while approaching venture capitalists? Key learnings in terms of preparing a business plan and key tips that you can actually provide to anyone.
So if I have to be honest, there is no blueprint for a business plan, right? Because um, in today's day and age, there are enough success stories as well as failure stories, from the biggest VCs to the smallest VCs. So no matter how good the plan, no matter how bad the plan, some people do end up raising money, some people do end up not being able to raise money. But I think the most important thing, now that we understand of what VCs are looking for, first and foremost is obviously the viability of your product. So it's whether it's a fit into the market, existing market. And a great way to prove that fit is having some traction. So you have to have some sort of revenue, you have to have some sort of unit metrics which can be extrapolated, right? Because tomorrow, if I'm going to ask you for your money, I need to be able to convince you or explain to you that I am here today, but if I got, let's say, $1 million from you, what can that $1 million, where can it take me basis what I have done in the past? So unit metrics are extremely important, and that needs to be very, very strong. The team needs to be extremely motivated and aligned. So obviously now VCs, most of the VCs that we speak to now at this stage, because we've obviously proven the market fit, everyone just looks at team as to how good is the team, not only of the founders but also of the senior management and the next layer around it. Because at the end of the day, ideas are galore in this market, right? There are ideas galore in the market. However, everything boils down to execution, and the people who are executing it are actually the team members. So, how good is the team that you have built? How motivated is the team that you've built, and how aligned is the team you've built? Because is everyone moving in the same direction, or there is a confusion as to who's moving where? And finally, VCs love market size as well. So you need to be able to really estimate or guesstimate your market size very well, and the market size has to be big enough for you to excite a VC, because at the end of the day, everyone's looking for a big exit or a shift for a PE to come in from a VC. So the bigger the market size, the better the opportunity for you to grab a piece of it and grow in terms of your volumes and scale. So I think these are the most important aspects of creating a business plan and how you're going to move forward with it.
In terms of customers, how did you and your team find the initial customers?
So customers is where it's at, man. Everything, like the whole first focus is because um, every time we've launched a new feature, we've launched a new product. Um, the most difficult part is always your first 10,000 customers, and it is not easy to crack that, because you really need to keep your ears on the ground to hear, to understand, to feel what these guys are thinking, what they are doing, because in your head, uh, you are so close to your service, your company, your product, right? And by virtue of being so close to it, there is a huge bias that you develop towards anything that you are building. And when you actually put it out there, you realize that, man, what I thought the reaction should have been versus what the reaction is, positive or negative, it fluctuates across the spectrum. But customer is everything, and then especially for a B2C business also, or a B2B business for that matter, it is it's more difficult for a B2C, because it's not easy to communicate with your customers on a daily basis. Like we have today, like close to 7 million people who have transacted on our platform, out of which around 4 million transact regularly, at least 3-4 times in a year. So it is not easy to talk to everybody, but we have to be able to create enough feedback loops in our systems to be able to hear the customer and understand what their wants are, what their needs are, without them explicitly telling us what they want. So that's the difficult part. For us, what we did when we started off was we leveraged an existing partner. So we had very good relationships with a couple of non-profits in India when we started off, and we leveraged a lot of their customer base. But we also went out of our way to build, customize whatever those non-profits wanted. So we were like a extended arm of the non-profit, building solutions, platforms, technologies for their use and what they need, because we knew if we are going to be successfully solving problems for a small sample of the bigger market, we will be able to solve a bigger problem in the bigger market. So that's where the approach that we took was we started very small. We really first got a market fit, because without a market fit, it doesn't matter. Even if you can spend millions of dollars, get people on the platform, but if people are not happy using your platform, once you stop spending the millions of dollars, all those people are going to go away. And there are enough cases like that happening in India with all the so-called unicorns. So building something of substance and value was the most important thing, and I think till date that is the focus that we have. Is, are we creating value for the customer? Are we creating something that the customer likes and would want to use again? If the answer to either of these questions is no, we are not ready to go to market with this. So that is how we approach it. So we always take it very slow. In fact, we are on a product right now where we have a soft internal target of getting 1,000 customers till the end of this month. We are at around 683, and it has gone extremely smoothly because we are talking to them on a weekly basis, understanding what they need, understanding where the gaps are, what could be better, and we are very confident that in the next quarter that 1,000 number could easily become 10,000.
What are the insecurities you have while running a business?
And like so there are so many of them, right? Because suddenly, like as an employee, all we had to worry about was taking care of people back home, our immediate family. But now we have a whole new family, which is our Ketto family as well, right? Because a lot of decision making, a lot of direction of the company, a lot of high level stuff that the company is going in terms of new businesses, new opportunities, new investments, etc. um, we are making a lot of those decisions, and there are 100 people back in office who are directly impacted basis the decisions that we make. So that responsibility is always there, that pressure is always there, but that pressure doesn't necessarily bog you down. The pressure kind of motivates you, inspires you to do better and give it your better, because there are so many people who are relying on you also to take the right directions and take this company forward so that everyone grows together. So that definitely is there. Secondly, luckily we've overcome that hurdle now. They say typically a company now is called a startup for the first 7 years, but if you get over the 7 year hill, then you are no longer a startup. Now you are a kind of a small enterprise or a medium enterprise, and that is where we consider ourselves also to be, because not only have we gone over that hill, but we are also completely profitable for the last 18 months now. And that was a huge insecurity that was, that was like it's a sword that's constantly hanging over your head, because initially when we started off, obviously much younger, more naive, uh, hearing the success stories of the world about XYZ raising $10 million, $50 million, $100 million, burning so much money on marketing, on acquisition, etc. We were on that path for the first few years because we had also raised outside equity. So we were on that path where we were burning a lot of capital trying to grow. Uh, but this, but we had a kind of a lean patch in 2017 where we were trying to raise money, but at that time a lot of big e-commerce players in India had gone bust, and angel investing wasn't as lucrative a career for a lot of business owners as it was in the earlier part of 2010s. uh, so a lot of money dried up, a lot of capital dried up during that time, and at that time we were looking to raise a big round because we couldn't have sustained. So we had a runway of 18 months and we couldn't have sustained beyond that. And that is when we took a very conscious decision, because we were not being able to fundraise. So we took a very conscious decision as to how do we change and tweak the way we are running this enterprise so as to not burn cash, grow organically, but grow profitably. And it took us about 12 months to achieve our targets because it's not easy to change course. It takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of changes, mindset changes, process changes, etc., internally as well as externally. So it took us 12 months to steer course. But I'm proud to say that I'm very, very glad that we took that decision in 2017 because the last 18 months have been profitable for us. And now we have enough capital to also invest in new products and new service offerings.
After 8 years of Keto, if you had to look back, what would be those few things which you would have done differently or could have done better?
First thing that always comes to mind is not be afraid of failure. I think when we all started, uh, especially for a technology driven platform or a company, um, I think failure is synonymous with everything that we do, right? Because every time we roll out something, there is a, even though there is a lot of data backing and a lot of experience backing that something should work, but many a times things don't work. So I think not being afraid to fail and actually being having a mindset of moving very fast. I think to put it right is actually moving fast, whether it is to fail or to succeed. Moving fast I think is very, very important because that is how agile is, right? And we are very, very strong believers of everything agile. So how do you move fast, whether it's right or wrong? However, how do you move fast from one thing to another? And moving fast helps you fail fast, redo fast, maybe fail fast, redo fast, but succeed fast because everything is moving that fast. So I think my two bits would be, um, failure should be embraced because I think you can never ever learn more from any other experience in your life than failures. Failures make you learn the most. So I think that should be embraced and you should be prepared for it. If you're not failing enough, you're not trying new things. Is definitely what we keep on telling everyone in our team, and which is so true, right? Because if you're getting everything right, that means you are playing within a very confined safe zone. Is when you try to push the boundaries is when failure is inevitable. But learning is also great with that. So that would be one. Um, at an earlier stage, getting the hiring right, because I think we were shouldering a lot of responsibilities. This I'm talking about like the in 2014 15, uh, where for some reason we thought that being founders of the organization, etc., it will always be, the bulk of the responsibilities will always be on our shoulders. But it couldn't have been further from the truth because over the years, what experience has taught us is that your company is only as strong as your team. And if somebody in my team doesn't do something or know some things better than I do, how is the company gaining in any way? Because I could have done that better anyways. So the whole idea is that how do you always focus very, very strongly right from day one about hiring the right people? There are some people with us who are there from day one, a lot of people who have not been able to stick around for that long, I mean, for various reasons. But we are seeing the output of those people who have been there from day one, and it is just phenomenal. So hiring right would be my second thing early on that I would have gone back and changed. Um, finally, I think I think that mindset. I'm not sure how much of that still exists, but the we are all Gujaratis. Most of me and Varun are founders, and somewhere those genes kicked in where business is not about growth and burning money. Business has to be about bringing in money, and I think somewhere in this whole dot com boom and the startup boom, wherever in the world it's happening, you are seeing a lot of write downs that are happening, even with SoftBank and their humongous fund and the kind of companies that they invested in. Um, that model of burning cash just does not work, man. You need to have very, very, very strong unit metrics, and if your unit metrics are not strong enough, I think it is you are to be doomed unless your unit metrics are strong. I know I know the big companies now are still burning cash, but if you go back to the unit metrics are strong. They are burning cash for market size capture or whatever. Those things are fine, but focusing on unit metrics from day one is extremely important. And I think that is where something that we had not done right in the beginning. Circumstances made us do it. But yeah, if I had to go back and start something, these things would definitely I would take with me and not make the same mistakes again.
If you had to share your top three learnings from running a business, what would those be?
Decision making, like you got to back yourself. As I said, if you're moving fast, uh, in the long run, quick decision making will win over meticulous and trying to be always right kind of decision making. Two, you have to let go of responsibilities. It is virtually impossible for uh, one man to do five people's job. It is not possible, and you are wasting your own productivity as well as you are not utilizing the productivity of others. So uh, actually hiring and in there is a term, it's taught by Stanford University. It's called post heroic, where you are not the hero of the organization. Every individual of the organization is a hero in themselves. And how do you build a culture where every hero is allowed to shine, as opposed to you being the founder shouldering all the responsibility to shine? So that would be my second biggest learning. And finally, I think it took us some time to again come back to this. I read a lot about successful leaders across the world, and I really like what Jeff Bezos and Amazon believe in, the customer centricity of their culture. And I think that is something that we are really mindful of now, where everything that we try to do, we try to put the customer in the middle and see how this would work out if the customer had to do this or see this, and that is how we move forward.
So, if you had to give advice to anyone who is planning on starting their own business or planning on starting their own startup, what would that particular advice be?
Self motivation, definitely, because there is nobody. It's quite thankless sometimes, where there is nobody telling you, hey, you did well, but every time it is down, you are bashing yourself. So you need to be very self motivated. You need to be resilient, you need to be persistent, because there are a lot of ups and downs. The ups are great, the downs are very difficult to handle, but you need to have the confidence and to back yourself and the back your idea that there is merit to it, and you will persevere to the right side if done in the right fashion. And finally, you gotta really learn to listen to no's and not bother it and not make it bother you towards your end goal. Because even when you talk about fundraising, when you're meeting VCs, man, we must have met like hundreds of VCs, and 97 said no, because they said that no, we don't think your idea is great, or we don't think the market size is big enough. But we did not let those no's kind of dampen our enthusiasm or reduce our motivation. We still were looking for those three people who would align with what we believe in, and move forward with. So I think being having some sort of a thick skin, not thick enough where you are doing something stupid and you just continue doing stupid things, but at the same time, so you have to be realistic, but at the same time, having a thick skin where you will meet 95% of the people you will meet in your entrepreneurial journey will tell you that, hey, what you're doing is nothing great. But that still should not deter you if you genuinely believe, and if your models and your numbers are right, that what you are doing will eventually succeed. I think you need to back yourselves there.
So, Zahir, thank you for taking your time and thank you for sharing these insights. I really hope Keto does very well, and thank you again.
You're most welcome, yeah, Nikhil, and thank you so much for doing this. Would love to explore and look at your other videos also, and learn from other industry stalwarts from various parts of the industry, and get to know about what their experiences also have been like.